Thanks for joining us for 5 on 5. I'm Joe Sullivan. Pleased to be joined today by Senator Merkley. Senator, thanks for taking time from Washington, D.C.
Joe, it's a pleasure to be with you.
$33 million is coming to Southern Oregon from the Inflation Reduction Act. This is money to build the state's first wildlife overpass. Could you talk about the importance of this for our ecosystems?
Yes, this is an overpass that connects two halves of the Cascade-Siskiyou Monument, a monument that I really strive to get double because it's just where different mountain ranges come together at different angles, and it has so many species that you don't find anywhere else. Incredible ecosystem, but when it's split in half by I-5, that needed to be fixed.
$50 million from the Inflation Reduction Act is headed to the Klamath Basin. How will this money be used?
Yeah, this money is really to help out our irrigators, our farmers, our ranchers, and I'm really pleased. It's part of an ongoing effort that I've had over the last 16 years to get a lot of resources to the Klamath Basin because the basin water was over allocated. It's under enormous stress, including climate stress, and we needed to do a lot of work to help people out.
Now, you've said, quote, Republicans plan to keep handing out tax breaks to billionaires and giant corporations. I will fight this every step of the way, end quote. Republicans control the House and the Senate, so how can you win this fight?
Well, first by putting a spotlight on it, because this is a great betrayal. Trump campaigned on helping families, but the plan that's being put forward by the Russell Vogt, who will be the head of the Office of Management Budget, kind of coordinates everything, is a plan to savage healthcare, housing, education, support for college education, child tax credit, all those things that help out ordinary families have a foundation, and then give that money to the richest Americans. And in addition, he wants to give so much money to the richest that he's also going to have to run up like a $3 trillion of additional deficit. So this is a pretty outrageous plan. It's a pretty outrageous betrayal of families, and I'm going to make sure that I put a spotlight on that.
Senator, what are your thoughts about the ongoing strike involving the Oregon Nurses Association and Providence?
Well, I'm delighted that Providence is back at the table because they had abandoned the negotiations. They need to be there. My wife is a nurse. I see the enormous stress that they're under. They're vastly underpaid and overstressed with too big of patient loads. And it's hard for nurses to go on strike. I mean, their whole heart is being there every day for every patient, making the world better one bedside at a time. So you know when they go on strike that it's because they have been shortchanged and overstressed over a big period of time. So Providence has billions and billions of dollars in reserves. They're operating like a big corporate for-profit. They've lost the spirit of the Sisters of Providence on which they were founded, and they need to refine that spirit.
We'll take a quick break and be right back with more from Senator Merkley. Stay with us. Welcome back to part 2 of our 5 on 5 with Senator Merkley. A Coquille Indian Tribe casino in Medford was approved. The tribe also owns the Mill Casino Hotel in North Bend. What are your thoughts on this casino opening in Medford?
Well, I opposed it. I think it was the wrong thing to do. It was based on a clause about service area that was so that the tribe could provide health care services or credit and banking services or local offices, not to establish a casino. This is essentially establishing a precedent that is going to haunt us and may eventually lead to private casinos in the state. I think it puts the tribes in competition with each other, and it puts a major source of social harm because gambling does lead to addiction and right in the middle of an urban area. So it's bad on numerous fronts.
The recent wildfires in California highlight the importance of forestry. Do you think enough is being done in Oregon to prevent a similar situation from happening here?
No, absolutely not. I've gotten about a 10-fold increase in forest management funds, and this involves thinning forests. It involves defensive actions around structures. It includes prescribed burns. But when you look at the amount of forest that needs to be treated versus the funding, even with that significant increase that I have fought for and delivered, it's not enough. And I'm very worried about having more fires like the 2020 Labor Day fires, where I traveled 600 miles from northern border to the south and back again, never got out of the smoke, saw 6 towns burned to the ground, another 6 partially burned. It's horrific. And what's going on in California right now is just a reminder that it can happen again in our state.
We've covered a lot of ground, but is there anything else you'd like us to know about?
We need to really strive to be an America coming together. And that means while I'm holding town halls, I'll be starting out with my town halls here this coming weekend and listening to people in every part of the state and then fighting for the items that Oregonians highlight, including local projects that have been identified by community leaders as their top priority. It may be a water project, it may be a mental health project, it may be a street that needs fixing, whatever it is. I try to fight for those local priorities, and we've gotten 475 of them, and I hope we can get a few hundred more.
Senator Merkley, thank you so much for joining us from Washington, D.C.
Thank you, Joe.
Stay with us. We'll be right back with more local news.